Despite some of the fireworks, there was some serious issue discussion there at that debate. Let's analyze the candidates' performances with our next guest, Larry Sabato, who writes in his crystal ball, quote, Senators Marco Rubio of Florida and Ted Cruz of Texas probably had the best nights, in part because they mixed it up with the moderators and used the debate to make larger points about what they see as an anti-Republican mainstream press. That's always a popular attack with a Republican audience. On the other end of the spectrum, former Florida Governor Jeb Bush had, to be brutally honest, another dreadful night. Outsiders, Donald Trump and Ben Carson, neither of whom in our minds did much to help or harm themselves in the debate. But when you are frontrunners, that is good enough. Larry Sabato, the director of the Center for Politics at the University of Virginia, joins us now. I'm sure there are a lot of fans of those various candidates who might be upset with the way things were portrayed, except for the guys who are obviously, in your view, rising. You say that Trump and Carson came into this night as number 2 and number 1, and you don't think that they have done much that would knock them from those perches.
That's correct. I watched what they said with great interest because I wanted to see if there was anything that could have reduced their standing, and I don't think so. The fact that they didn't speak as much, that's been emphasized last night and this morning. Actually, you can't get in trouble for what you don't say. Yeah. All of us learn that in life. So I think they helped themselves in that sense. They didn't say anything that would hurt them with their own supporters and backers. And after all, they are at the top of the heap right now. You're absolutely correct to focus on the moderators. And I'm just going to put a plug in for Neil Cavuto and his colleagues who are going to be moderating the next debate on November 10th. I'll bet you right now, I'll put a big bet on the fact that there will not be nearly as much static after that debate. I think that people will be more satisfied with the questions and the tone from the moderators.
Yeah, that was absolute chaos, I think, on stage last night in Boulder. You say they didn't really say anything that hurt them. Is there a candidate, you think, who did say something that might have hurt him or her?
The consensus, and rarely is there complete consensus, but from right to left, everybody agrees that Jeb Bush did have a dreadful night. I think his donors had been led to believe that he was going to take charge, which is always tough to do when you've got 10 candidates on a stage, plus, what was it, 38 moderators? I lost count of how many people were actually there asking questions and participating. So, I think he overpromised to his donors, or maybe his campaign did. And clearly, Bush initiated the set to with Marco Rubio, yet Rubio won. They both had prepared things to say. They knew it was going to happen, but Rubio won easily. He was much more agile in that debate performance, and that's what people are going to remember, along with Ted Cruz's comment going up and down the line about what had been said about each candidate. And then he did what Newt Gingrich did 4 years ago. He went after the moderators. And that always works in the Republican playbook in debates.
But you say, despite the fact that Dr. Carson and Donald Trump are in first and second place, you say that you, the crystal ball, have questions about their ultimate ability to win the nomination or the election. So if neither one of them is, in your view, going to come out of this process on top, who is?
Well, it's not impossible that the final showdown would be between the two co-winners last night, Marco Rubio and Ted Cruz. I don't know that. It's possible that Trump or Carson could end up prevailing in a very split field. But there's so much more to go there. We've got the November 10th debate and plenty of debates thereafter. Also, voters really do evolve. If you follow this every 4 years, as I do and many others do, you see voters evolving in how they think of the race, not just the individual candidates. They're thinking about November. They're focusing on the other party, who the other party selected as a nominee, and eventually a lot of Republicans ask the question, who can actually win? Because that's the point of the exercise.
And Ohio Governor Kasich seems to be trying to get voters to remember that experience matters in his view, but this does not seem to be an electorate that is inclined to reward experience.
That's a very good point. In that sense, Governor Kasich and former Governor Bush have the same problem. They know the details of policy. I'd throw in Governor Huckabee, too. They understand policy. They've been governors of states for many, many years. And yet, that's not what the base wants this year. They're interested in someone with more of an outsider perspective, an anti-establishment perspective. And when you've been around for a long time and you've been connected to the White House, prior White Houses, as Jeb Bush has, or John Kasich has, for that matter, it's very difficult to break out of that mold.
You write that what is happening in the Republican Party has no modern parallel in that regard. Larry Sabato.
It does not, and that's great for us.
It makes for interesting political writing, doesn't it? Larry, thank you. Good to be with you.